Hey guys, let me begin by first apologising that this video is a day late. Between the AFLW game at Monaco Oval and the Q Clash semi-final, I actually didn't have time to fully watch our girls play, let alone make a video. But with that all out of the way, I obviously have watched the game, and let me just say, holy moly, that was a close game. In a weekend full of upsets, yeah, we'll get to that when we get to my how my tippings went in my round prediction video later this week. But until then, let's just say Port Adelaide was able to do an incredible job and defeat the undefeated Melbourne Demons in a 2-point thriller to win our second win of the year and arguably our second biggest cap after taking out Hawthorn in the semi-final last year. Look, I definitely did not have high hopes for the team this year. I think it was pretty obvious from how I was talking in my previous round review and also the round prediction video. I thought the Dees were going to easily run over us, especially in the fourth quarter, which, to be honest, they almost did, but we'll come to that in a little bit. But let me just start out by saying, obviously the game started really well. Once again, Tahau is doing an amazing job in the forward. She's our best inside 50 marker, and she once again 3 goals. Like Houghton better be careful because Tahau's possibly going to steal the leading goal kicking award from her this year at the rate she's going. But absolutely amazing job, especially obviously with the whole story about the ACL recovery last year. It's been just so amazing to see her back in the team. But she wasn't the only one I want to give credit to, because another one is Sinead Goody, who was just absolutely killing it out there, especially because people were trying to sort of kill her with the amount of tackles being landed on her and all that stuff she was having to deal with. But she obviously put in a stellar performance, and it's really stiff that, there was that really soft call on a sling tackle in the fourth quarter, which gave the Dees the almost winning goal, but thankfully not. But regardless, Goody was, as they said in the commentary, doing goody. Another player I also want to look at is how Gaunt was doing today. Obviously, seeing Levicki obviously come out to give Jasmine Evans her matchday jumper, because she was debuting today, just reminded how much I miss Levicki in the team. Like, sure, she was no Schultz when it came to like her ruck work, but she was reliable. You just knew she was always a good tool to have to take pressure off Schultz. And obviously, Gaunt has been brought into the team to be our new Levicki, and she's done a decent job. Obviously, she got another goal today, which was great. But I just wish she could just get a little bit more in her run game, so she can just eventually become obviously our new Levicki in terms of helping. Because once we get pressure off Schultz, Schultz can really shine. And if Gaunt's AFLW fantasy points show anything, obviously this was technically her best game. So good on you, Gaunt, and I hope you can keep showing us how much of a talent you can be in our team. But however, I do want to also obviously talk about some negatives, because we didn't, have this obviously dominant performance as we did when we played the Suns 2 weeks earlier. Obviously, we definitely had a lot of missed opportunities. I think the big one that comes to mind was Houghton's drop mark in the first quarter that she would have easily turned into a goal. We also had the other moment where Schultz got a mark, I think within like 30 or 40 metres of goal, and rather than taking the shot, which I think she could have easily gotten, she instead tried to pass it off to, I can't remember who it was, it might have been Taha or someone, and she just dropped it, and it just ended up, turning into a no score. If we just converted a few more of these goals early on, I don't think we would have had to have dealt with this, chasing Dees so close at the end of the game. But with all being said, for every mistake we seem to make, it seemed like the Dees made 2, which actually made me think, I think I'm beginning to see what Lauren Arnell has done to the team this year. Obviously, we're being scouted way more by opposition teams after our massive rise last year, so we can never really expect to just play the same game style that we played last year and expect to win. And so I think what Arnell has done to the team has definitely turned us into a very much a pressure-focused team, that we are always hunting the ball carrier, causing them to screw up their kicks and screw up their handballs, and then try and pounce on that. And I think it was working for a bit last week, especially in the first quarter against the Eagles. But it was just so good to finally see us get that 4-quarter performance. We sort of kept it up the whole game, and it's definitely getting me kind of optimistic that even if we can't dispose the ball effectively ourselves, if we can bring other teams down to our level, we have another good chance for a run in November. Anyway, on that topic, I guess we should look at our next game, as we're once again back at Alberton to play the Geelong Cats, another team which I sort of had it around the same level as Melbourne. Obviously, they haven't had as many wins, although Their win this weekend has actually somehow put them above us on the ladder, so technically they are considered an even competition with us. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, we might have a potential Sandful child prodigy joining our team in Lauren Young. Fingers crossed nothing happens. I think she's out of concussion protocols, so please tell me she's playing. I just want to see her in the team, especially after how well Tahao's done coming back from an ACL. And on that other topic, isn't it just so good to have Hope back in the team? I know some of you guys are probably laughing at me and thinking I was being a bit too doomerous last week, and perhaps I was, but it's just good to be back on the winning list, back with optimism, and ready to go into next week. And all I can say now is, let's go, Power!